What's up guys, Blake here and you're watching Trail Tales Down Under. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make some primitive traps. So, I've gathered some, fair enough. I'm going to show you guys some of the materials and types of sticks you're going to need because pretty much it won't work. You need to get 2 sticks that are long and have a nice long bit with a nice hook on top. Now you are going to be driving this into the ground, so you don't want it too thin. Now this one is pretty brittle, it snaps pretty easy, so it is pretty thin, so I might need to find another one, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and get it in the ground. It's pretty soft at the moment, so it should work. Next up, you're going to need some decently straight sticks that are pretty easy to cut with your saw and have flat edges. So this piece of wood is pretty good here. I've got some offcuts over there. You obviously need your rope, which is mandatory, and a few other straight sticks. Then you're going to need a wedge, and then you're going to need one long stick that goes up and bends, and well, it doesn't really need a bend, but it needs to be a stick that's got a lot of spring in it. So for instance, these sticks, they've not got much spring in them, but these sticks, they do. So if we look at one of the green ones, it bends, and then it's got a lot of spring and it can bend a lot before it breaks. Where sticks like this one is very brittle, I was saying, because it's dead, it would just snap. I couldn't bend it, and they hit it. Pretty much, you want a stick that's like this. You're going to shove it in the ground, a thing, or you can find a nice young sapling that's like that. I don't have that, so I'm making the harder way. So then what you're going to do is you want to get your wedge stick, the nice big one. Now the reason this is a wedge is it's going to go all the way down into the ground and stick out about this much and then have something. So you don't want it to move, so you want this decently long and decently fat. Now you're going to get your wedge and you're just going to, with a bushcraft knife or an axe. So I've got the bushcraft knife. It's a nice Winchester bushcraft knife and the stick right here. And we're just taking nice little pieces off to make it sharp. Now it doesn't have to be too pretty because, like I said before, the ground is decently soft at the moment because it's been raining a lot. But if it is pretty hard ground, you're going to want to make a decently sharp, nice wedge to get it in. So like I said, it's very soft, so I'm just going to be able to push this into the ground. I won't even need to hammer it, but just like that. Then we're going to come over to our other side, which is a lot fatter. We're going to look at the stick. Now the stick, if we look, it's a little bit thinner there and thicker there, but it kind of has a little bit of a bow to it, a little tiny bit. So we're going to go into that. If we move the camera a little bit here, we're going to go into that bow right there. So what we want to do is turn the bow straight towards us. We're going to want to, this is where you want to be a bit careful. You cut and try and make a flat surface. Now we're just trying to make it on the very top there, and you can whittle at it, and you just want it to be decently flat because we're going to have something rest on it. So I need to take more off from down here. See, that's turning out to be a bit more flat. There we go. And that's nice and flat there. Now we've got our sharpened wedge. Then we're going to get our long pieces, and I collected these off the tree just over there, and they've got nice forks on it. I've used 2 different types actually. So this is pine, and the other wedge, which I have no idea where it's gone, right here, that's the same as most of this dead stuff that's around, which is that tree right here. And the goats love to eat out of that. So you're going to get our wedges, and it doesn't really matter about how clean they are on the bottom, like I said, because they're going to be in the ground. But if they are if it is hard ground, you're going to want to sharpen this and stick it in the ground and use a lot thicker stick, because if you need a batten on the back and hit it with something to knock it in the ground, your stick's going to snap if it's this thin. So definitely don't do what I'm doing. But for today, it's a lot easier for me to just use a thin one. So then you want to cut with our saw. We're just going to cut off a clean, nice back off the back here. So if we do need to batten it at all and hit it, it's got a nice flat surface. Now that's done for that one. And this one here too, we're just going to cut this off there and make it flat. Nice flattish bit off there, so it looks a lot cleaner. And then we've got our two like hook sticks, whatever. So these are setters. All these are for the trigger mechanism, which is the most important part. So we're going to put them all over here. Now we're going to get this stick here, and this is our actual setting stick. This is the stick what's going to set off. So this stick needs to be as straight as possible. And what we're going to do is going to try and cut, and you need to cut dead flush, perfect cuts with the saw, because this bit is the bit where you can choose how delicate and hard your trigger is. So that bit there looks pretty straight. This bit is a little bit bowed, but that should, from there to there, should work well enough. If I need to cut more off, I'll leave. So it's a little bit long, but that's okay, because if I need to cut more off, I can't add more. So we'll just cut this off and make sure. So try and make sure it's dead perfect cut. So I'm just not applying any pressure, so the blade doesn't bite too much. I'm just trying to get a dead perfect cut. So there we go. So that's a flush, dead perfect cut where it goes across. Doesn't really matter about that bit there on the side, but it's mostly flush. Now on the other side, we want it to be directly symmetrical. So we're going to cut, even though it is pretty flush, we're going to cut a little bit off the side there. So, and that's well enough. So it did get a little bit of a thing on it there, but that's fine, because we're only going to need half of this side to be flat. So then you want a small stick what's going to lock underneath your two setters. So your two setters are going to sit next to each other, the ones with hooks on them, like that, pretty much, the hooks. And then you're going to have a thing that sticks out, and that's why these need to go nice and deep in the ground. So then when there's tension pulling up on them, it's not going to pull them out. So that's a perfect little length there. Doesn't need to be fancy or too big. Now, with that setter we did before, we got this here. We're going to need to make another little piece here. So we're going to get this piece and this perfect little piece here. You want it to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And this we're going to cut, so you don't want any little nubs on it or anything. You want it to be just smooth wood. So I'm going to choose that piece right there, and I'm going to cut that off. So guys, I'm actually not going to cut this bit as short as I said. I said I'd cut it about that big, but I'm going to leave that bit long for now. And what you want to do is get your stick, put it on the ground, get your knife, and you're going to want to get something to batten it. I've got, I could probably use this right here. Now I'm not going to be hitting this hard because this is a delicate piece of wood and I love my knife. So just enough to get that in, and I'm going to find a better I'm going to find a piece of wood to batten on my knife so I don't damage it. So here I've got a nice big piece of this dead stuff. It's very light, but I'm going to keep battening away and try and split this piece of wood straight down the middle. Perfect. Just like that, we've split our wood straight down the middle. It looks like it's gone a little bit unevenly, but that's okay because we still only needed a bit over an inch, 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this off here. Now I'm going to use this to hold it on. So I'm going to put that there, hold it tightly here. Now it's not too serious. This piece will just, as you can see, I'm taking some more off to make it a bit thinner because I battened it a bit thick on that side, but that's okay. So it's kind of flat. As you can see, this piece is split in half and kind of flat. Now what we're going to do is put it back on the chopping block, whatever. We're going to do a light little score. As you can see that, we're just scoring all the way around on both sides with the saw. Now that's made a little indent in the back, right there, just like that. And we're going to get our knife to clean up the corners. So we've got that bit there with the little indent. We're going to cut on an angle here and here, right where that indent is, to make little tiny triangles out of it. So we're going to try not to cut towards yourself and just use the sharpness of your blade to just make a little score. And it does not have to be deep at all. And you just want to cut a little notch out, just like that. So as you can see, there's a little notch cut out, and we're going to do that on the other side right here. So then, once you've got that piece done, and if you can see, it's got a little triangle on that side, we're going to do it a little bit more on this side because I think it didn't go deep enough. One little cut there, and a little cut there. So just cut that out, or rip it out. So a little cut. So that's just so the string can play around and hold on nice and tight. So that's another piece done. So we got our saw dropping. We got our 2 pieces. What's going to sit across? We got held onto. We got our other piece. We got our setting piece what the animal will step on. Then we've got our little piece. Now, other than that, we've got our big bendy piece that does the flick. And for me, that is just over there in the goat fence, already set up. Yes, we know. Now, what you want to do is get your rope. Right, so we got our paracord, loose piece right here, a knife, and then we've got our little bit right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our setting area, and it's a bit hard to walk at the moment with my boot as bad as it is, but this is our setting area, and I've just wedged this stick into the fence here to make it sit up, and it's very springy, so that, as you can see, it pulls all the way down and springs up. So what you're going to want to do is grab your springy rope. Just chuck the knife down for a second. I'm going to hold on to this and put it in my pocket. I'm going to pull it down as far as you want it to go. So make sure that's sitting properly. We're going to pull it down as far as we want it to go and leave a couple bits on the end of it. I've cleaned most of them off and cut them up here, but leave a couple on the end so you can tie the rope around there like that. or on one of these ones here, and then you pull it down, and that goes, for me, I feel comfortable before it's going to snap, about 40 centimeters to 50 centimeters off the ground. So then what we're going to do is get our piece of rope and then measure that distance, what we want to go between. We're gonna leave a bit of excess. So if we look here, we're gonna leave about that much excess, so we have enough to tie. We're gonna come down about this far. Now we pull that down to the floor. That's gonna not be too bad. So that comes to all the way to the floor right there. So we can let our springy piece go. And I actually don't know why I brought this. I don't need it. But anyway, this will be tied around here like that. That is about a meter for me, but I do have some extra, so we'll go back over to the ute and go do the rest of this trap. So now we're back over and we've got our measurement. I'm still pinching it. We put that down. Cut our rope. Bloody hell, your knife goes pretty dull pretty quick. I need to cut this other side off because it's had its end burnt. So yeah, use that. Wow, it has gone really dull. Still sharp enough to cut it, but need a bit of effort now. So we're going to pull all these strands in the middle all the way out, and the outside we can keep that for something later, but we do not need it right now. The inside is what we need. So we're going to separate some of these inside strands and find a perfect one. So I've got a black one right here and another black one right here. So they seem pretty good right there. Right, so that's good. So we're going to put one of our black strands just here, and one of them, we're going to get it, we're going to tie it. This is on filming. We're going to tie our black strand, what we've just got out the middle, straight around our little setting wedge. This is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. So we're just going to randomly tie a normal little knot. And we want it to come out at the back. So tie the knot, we want it to come from the back like that. So we want the knot to end just there. So it doesn't really matter what type of knot you tie. It doesn't have to be too tight. But as long as the knot comes straight off the back there. Alright, that's perfect. Make sure it's tight. We got our string. Alright. That's good. So once we've got that, we're going to put this over here. We're going to pick up our wedge, the setter. We don't need that because we've got a hammer. We're going to grab this one. We got everything. I'm going to bring it over and go straight over to the springy bit. Alright guys, so we come over here, we got our springy piece right here. And we're gonna get our string, what's got our little bit connected to it. We're gonna tie that, pull it down and test. Oh, now you want this to be hanging about 6 inches off the ground. So I've definitely made this string double the length it needs to be, but that's okay. Just means we can tie it extra wraps. So I'm just gonna make sure that's the right way right there. So that goes here, goes there. Actually tighten it a little bit more. Right, so the way I'm going to tie this, so I'm just going to wrap it around it like that, and then we're going to keep wrapping it this way for the time being, tightly around itself, going down. So as you can see, we're just going tightly, and then we're going to start throwing some half hitches in. So grab that half hitch through, one, throw another half hitch that way, and then do one the opposite way to seal it off. If you know bushcraft at all, you should know how to do this. So another half hitch, and then this time come in from this side there. So now, connected to our piece right here, this comes all the way down. There we go. There's our stringiness, and that comes about 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches off the ground. Right there. So then, right where we want it to be, so right here, we're going to get our setters, and we're going to start pushing them in the ground. So make sure I don't snap this. See? Once it gets certain past the point, just keep sinking. So actually might need to pull this one out, and I snapped a piece off, so I'm going to have to move that over anyway. Snap that off. And you want that to be the same height. So this one's going to go directly next to it. And if you look, get it there, they're right next to each other. Put all my weight on it. Definitely made them a little bit too long, but it's alright. Like I said, you can take some off, but you can't add some. And then we're gonna get my straight stick out of my pocket. That hooks in to there. Perfect. So that goes right there. This one actually needs to come this way. This one needs to come this way, but that's okay. Got that there. So this just hooks in underneath. So then we got our other piece right here, and if you remember, we flattened it out. That is going to sit directly across. But now this is the hard part. We need to get this. We need to get this bit, pull that down. I'll make this one little wrap a bit longer because I did make it a bit short. And then we're going to pull this. So as we can see, we've got our piece here connected to the thing, and you got the bit where it hooks on. We're going to pull that all the way down. Just a second, guys, holding on there. That is going to go and flip around there like that. So what I have made a mistake about is the side it needs to come off on. It does need to come off on the other side, but that's fine. So that goes there. This is going to go there. So there's a lot of tension on this, and if I let that go, it's going to come around here, flick up and hit me in the face. So make sure you hold on to it. Put that there, hold on to it, and then make a measurement. So this is how far. So we'll just stick that on the ground just there, just like that. There. So that's pretty much just shows what this is going to be like, but I do need to drive this one down in the ground. So as you can see, we have the piece that goes over. We have the piece that goes down, it's tied off here, comes down, looped under there, and it's to here. But this needs to be all the way in to there. So I'm gonna hammer it up there for a second. So we're gonna take pressure off this and let that go up, because now we know where it needs to be. We're gonna just, with this hammer, tap this all the way in until it snaps. So we just keep hitting it in until it is practically the same height as the other one. So these two go through across there. So that can go here, that can go here, that can go here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look. This and this is going to happen every time it gets set off. So you got to bear with it. Hang on. I did say it needs to come off the other side from this side, straight in the middle here, but it needs to come off the other side. And it goes that way. So that bit goes down, it's connected to the spring, and we're going to pull that down with a lot of tension. And then we got the piece here, where it hooks on there. And I'm going to put this down for 1 second. Right, so all I've done is I've put one side under, and you just push it all the way around until it twists all the way around. And then see, my finger is doing the thing. So we're going to put this down again. So as you can see, like I wrapped it around before, it comes down, wraps around with tension, goes to the back here, and it would, because it's being pulled on, it wants to twist that way, like around, and go underneath there, if you can see. I can't move that. Wants to go, but this stick is blocking the way. So now, that's how our tension of this trap is going to work. So when something sets it off, the way it's going to work is, if we look, we're going to come right in here, that is on there, and something steps on the stick. So this is an animal trail, and they come walking and they step on the stick, so I'm going to step on it, and that flicks up. So now, next part. So switch to the GoPro. Now guys, this bit, I'm going to bring this down to here. Now this is a pretty finicky, annoying bit. You're going to have to deal with it, but that's okay. So that ties to there. And when this comes down, we're going to reset this here. This is going to come down. We're going to loop it around. Now we're going to make sure it's well and truly stuck on there and not going to come off and hit me in the face while I'm working. And then we're going to get our other string, and we've got the access here. We're going to get our other string. We're going to do a little look. So we're going to get this bit of excess, which is coming off there, and we're going to just tie a loop under that. So I'm going to put them, double it together, and just tie a normal knot, make a loop for this to hold on to. Then we're going to tie this end completely to it, just make this bit a little touch longer. So fishing knot, because we don't want this one to come undone, and it's going to have a lot of pulling on it, so that's fine. We want it to be a tight knot, so you want to do a good knot. Now we're going to pull that tight. Now it's still on there. And then we're going to pull this down here. We're going to do this here. We're going to do another loop on the very end. So final loop, just tie a knot. And we want the loop to be decently small, but not too big. You want the loop, so we'll pull it through there, and pull some extra cord through here, some extra cord through here. Yeah, that loop is perfect, little loop. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just stick the cord through itself, through the loop, and pull until it makes a lasso. Then we're going to pull the lasso. We're going to put that around here and set lasso just there in the circle on over the setting stick. So we're going to set the lasso just on top of the stick here, and an animal's going to come along and step in it. So guys, we got it set up here, and we got to move the hammer for a second. So we got it set up here, goes in the thing, comes down. We've got our loose line, which is our lasso line, it goes in a circle here. We've got our string, what's on the tension, what's on there. Now when the tension comes off this string, it's going to be applied to this string and completely close that. So like I said before, something needs to step on this to set it off. So an animal comes along, so this is a game trail, comes, walks, steps right on there, and we'll use the hammer. And that hammer has had something go straight up it, like it was a leg, and tension is being held on it, and it's being hung off the air. So now something can pull on this and snap it, whatever, but it is trapped. So there we go. Now like I said, this always gets tangled up and wrapped around, so that's one annoying part. But the animal's going to be stuck there with constant force and tension on the loop, so it's going to not be able to pull the loop off until you come and find it. So now I'm going to show you guys how to make a hair trigger. Alright guys, so when making it a hair trigger, you want to pick the smoothest, flattest side. So I pick this side right here, nice little bit. We're going to pull it down like before, hook it onto here, put a finger on the back to hold it. Now the hair trigger part is, you put that, perfect, that's why we needed to cut this bit, nice and thin. You want that just barely, maybe look here, you want that part just barely on the edge. You don't want it all the way up here, because the animal has to push it all the way down before it, so that stuff you want it just on the edge, so the animal has to barely touch the stick. You put that over here, set that just barely on the edge. The birds know. They know there's a trap here. She's the trap. Nah. So if you look, like I said, it's just, if we move this here, it's just barely, we can look from the back, it's just barely touching and frictioning on the edge. So if you touch this, it's going to barely go. So that's set. We get our loose line, which is our thing. Be careful not to touch your stick. You can set your stick up on there, your rope I mean, set your rope, and you don't want to touch your stick. That gets transferred across. Now it's barely there. Something comes walking along, like the dog. What's this? What's this? Come on, come step in it. Nah, we'll use this again. So look, we got our hammer. Catches our hammer. Almost swung up and hit me in the face. Catches our hammer, nice and tight on the fence. If you guys like hunting hammers, this is the trap for you. But no, seriously, you would set this up rail, what is heavily used, like my goats one over here, or something going through the bush. set up sticks on the side and stuff, so they've got only one place to go. Maybe a stick here, so stand on it, stick here. Oh well, they're standing on a stick anyway, so. But yeah, that's that's how it's going to work. So that goes there, that goes there. We got our piece, well, it locks in there. And yeah. Now guys, if you guys can't find in the wilderness a stick, a springy stick, what keeps breaking, all your sticks keep breaking. They won't bend over. When they bend, they just snap. And you can't get one to do that, and you're like, oh, this trap doesn't work for you. It's still, so what you're going to do is, we'll have a look at this post here. This is perfect. You're going to find a fat stick, like a decently fat stick, sharpen the end. You want to tamp that into the ground. Do another one right next to it. Then you want to tie a piece of paracord loosely, what goes around there, in a loop. Just one loop, one there to there. And then you want to put a stick in between them. And then you wind the stick up. Keep winding it, and the tension will pull these sticks together. So you want to put a wedge stick across the middle here to stop them from being pulled together, and then all the tension will just build up in the paracord. You keep winding, and then eventually you want to wind it towards you, because eventually it's going to want to spring back that way. Instead of it being a stick with the spring in it, it's the tension of the paracord making it want to go. And then that, you just tie a string from that piece where it goes down, and you can put a stopper what goes across, so it goes crack and hits there, but then you grab it, it pulls down to here, then and then you set it up over here more, a bit further away. So that's how it works. It's a pretty easy concept. Pretty much you just need tension on that first bit, and then the other bit, and then you make a perfect little trap for any animal to go in.